My name is Earl Thomas. I'm a book in a human library, and the title of my book is called Barber More Than You Think. I'm going to talk a little bit about, what got me into barbering, what got me in the field of cosmetology, and my experiences throughout my career. Oh my gosh. So, barbering as a child, my mom used to actually cut my hair. That's what got me started into cutting hair because every time that she used to cut my hair, it always was a bad haircut. So what I ended up doing was trying to cut my own hair. I probably was about like 10 years old at that time. And I ended up messing up my own haircut. But I felt a little bit better about it because at least I know it was my work. So I just kept at it. And throughout, I'm gonna say junior high school and high school, I started like cutting my brother's hair. I have two younger brothers, so I was cutting their hair. I was cutting some of my friends' hair. And then, I started to perfect my craft. It wasn't until probably, I'm gonna say after high school that I decided to take barbering a little bit more seriously, and I just stuck with it. It wasn't, so I graduated high school in 2000, and I didn't start going to barber school until 2009. So, and the funny thing was it wasn't even barbering school, it was cosmetology school. And I remember the first day of school doing a roller set. And I was like, this is not barbering at all. And I didn't want to be a part of cosmetology. I just wanted to be a licensed barber. The admissions office actually talked me into coming to cosmetology school. So I just said, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. Why not? While I was there, like, I think 2 or 3 other barbers dropped out because it wasn't their thing. So that's not what they were looking for. I mean, same thing with me, but I just decided to stick with it just to see what I can, make happen with it. And come to find out, I was waxing, I was doing nails, I was doing makeup, I was doing perm with perm rods, just about everything you could think of. And it wasn't something that I actually thought that I would be doing or even enjoy doing, but I love it. I do. The course of the cosmetology school was took me about 10 months. 10 months to complete. And then shortly after, I applied for my state license because you have to have the certification before you could apply for the license. I applied for the state license and got it the first try. Barbering also, like when you're behind a chair, you actually get a chance to indulge in people's lifestyles. You kind of become like a therapist or just someone that they could open up and talk to. There's plenty of times that I've sat what I would think is an introvert in my chair, and about the time they're out, they actually opened up about why they are the way they are. And sometimes I feel like people just need those outlets. And you may not always find it in therapy, you may not always find it in schools or around family or friends. Sometimes it's with your barber or hairstylist. Yeah, there's this one client who was dating this young lady, and he always was seeking out his Kerry Washington. And although he used to always talk to me about her, although he didn't feel like she was Kerry Washington, she was his Kerry Washington. And they've been together, I don't even know how many years, but I know they have probably double-digit years by now. And 2 children. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the next one either is born already or will be born, and it's a boy. So they have 2 boys. And they've been together since, happily married. He actually, and his funny story is that he did ask me to be part of his wedding too, one of his groomsmen. So I thought that was actually pretty cool because no client ever asked me that before. So we had a pretty good relationship. So because she wasn't his Kerry Washington, he was, just thinking about maybe I should keep my options open. And when him and I used to sit in a chair and we talked about it, I always told him, like, that's your Kerry Washington. Like, that is who she is. It may not be the look that you wanted. It may not be the height that you needed, but it's all yours. So why don't you stick with it? And he did. He did. And they've been together for quite some time. So, yeah. The most unusual, see, because I know my talents, right? Because I've been trained well. So I think the most unusual thing I've ever experienced was when someone told me, "You're gonna cut my hair." Now, this person was a white man, and I guess he was looking at me as though like maybe I don't know how to cut his type of hair. But in the field of cosmetology, you learn that hair is hair. So you can basically cut anyone's hair. It's just a matter of applying your skill set and staying active in your industry. That's all. I cut. There's not one person I think living or dead in some case that I can't cut or service. And I just think that that was like a very weird question in the moment because I've been to many salons and barbershops where, and even worked for myself where I cut. So it just caught me off guard to hear that. But that was me working in a predominantly white town. So I've never really been in a predominantly white town cutting hair. So it was an eye opener, I guess, that way. I mean, the relationship between him and I actually went well. He's an older white man, but he kept coming back to me. I did his whole haircut with shears or scissors, as some may know, and I only used my trimmer like only to clean up his neckline and raise his neckline, and that was it. And he was impressed. He told me, he said, I'm impressed, and he told me he'll be back. So sometimes you gotta use your skill set to win them over. Yes. So there's so much when it comes down to the black culture in barbershops versus the culture in white barbershops. Back in the day, the barbershop was about community. So that's where you would get all your news, who's doing what where, who to vote for. The politicians used to be able to sit in the barbershops and wait for their cuts while they're talking and speaking to why you should vote for them. So because of that, it was kind of the place to go. It was a hub. It was like the center of the community. I've noticed here in the white barbershops, the culture is kind of like get them in, get them out. Like you don't have time to chat that much. You get 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes per client. Whereas in the black culture, you sat there, that was where you spent your day, really, because you're finding out information, you're watching sports, or you're just kicking it with the guys, or anything of that nature where it's brought a sense of community. So I just noticed that was kind of like a cultural shock or a little bit of a big difference, because that's what I'm used to. That's what I know. So when I get the guys in my chair, sometimes I start talking a little bit too much, or we start having these conversations, and I'm like, oh, but your time's is up. I'm sorry, I gotta wait for the next client. So. Yes, so that was a little bit of adjustment for me because I never really had to. I always took my time with my clients because I always had quality time with them. So I would give like a whole hour of time, but I would extend my day. So it would start at 8 o'clock in the morning to maybe 6, 7 at night, so I could get enough people in a day. But when you have the client for just 30 minutes, I mean, for me personally, one of my main things is like neither one of us need to be on our phone. That's my time, that's your time, and your time with me. So I don't allow you to be on your cell phone and all I got is 30 minutes. I need to consult with you. That's the first 2 to 4 minutes. I have to wash your hair. I have to make sure that I do a hot towel, do the lather on the neck with the razor shave. There's even if you're getting a beard trim or anything like that, I have to make sure I'm giving you your time. So I respectfully, and it's just for your sake, really, just don't be on your phone. Give me your time, and I'll give you my time. So that's basically how I service the client. And to be honest, I've never gotten any fighting back about it or anything. Like if it's an emergency and you have to answer it, fine. But usually anybody that sat in my chair, they look at their phone and put their phone away if it rang or went off. Yeah, it's self-care, it's therapeutic. There's so much that goes into barbering that I think people don't really understand or maybe take for granted. Think about working all day from home, being behind the computer, or traveling all the time, doing sales or whatever your position might be. Usually you're spending yourself then through your work and your family. So where do you really have time for yourself? The barbershop, getting a fresh haircut, getting that hot towel, putting a lather on your neck, meeting your barber, talking to your barber. You haven't seen them in 4 or 5 weeks, those are your self-care times. And then you have time, if you're close with your barber, more than likely you're having conversations that you probably had down the road. Hey, how were you? Where was your vacation? How did that go? Oh, you had surgery. How did things work out? Short story today, just this morning, I reached out to one of my clients and just seeing how you doing from your surgery? I haven't seen you in a while. Told me to come over this morning for a haircut, so I went over there to cut his hair. And we had a nice little talk, and I met his stepdad, who just had surgery too. He had hip surgery. Yeah, so it's you just become a little bit more closer to your client and your barber, and it's a nice little marriage that goes on there. And you just both take it serious. Usually it turns out to a relationship. Yeah, something that you'll have probably for a long time. So, unfortunately, I don't go by the term of barber because I feel like barber has like a little bit of a stigma to it. So for women, when they hear the word barber, they're like they kind of fray away a little bit because they're like, I don't want to look like a man. They always think that every barber is going to cut their hair like a man. And in some cases, yes, that's what some barbers do. So I refer to myself as a stylist. It softens the hesitation a little bit, and it allows them to know that I have a range of my talent that I can perform on them. It's not necessarily like just this one style that I've always been doing for the last 30 years, and that's just what you're going to always get. So I like to deliver myself as a stylist to them more so than a barber. That way they know they're dealing with range. Yeah, I still go to New York probably like once a month. Like I told you, on those Tuesdays, once a month to go do those clients, and usually it's about like 10 to maybe 15 people in a day. So I start at like 7 a.m. and sometimes I'm ending at like 8, 9. Yeah. And then gotta be to work the next day at 9 in the morning. So yeah, back here in Connecticut, yeah. I do. I mean, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. I've done the corporate world, the area manager position, and I don't really see myself wanting to run back to emails and typing and Excel spreadsheets and PowerPoints and managing people and writing people up and firing people and hiring people, looking to see if anybody want a job. Like I'm okay with just being on my feet 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever hours a day, and meeting great people and sharing each other's stories with each other. Where we've been, what we do, who we are. Many of my clients that I've done in both towns probably are missing me right now. So if they wanted to reach out to me, they probably could reach out to me on either Facebook or Instagram. And my handle is Sir Thomas Hair. So that's SirThomasHair. I think what I want, well, no, not I think, because I lived it. What I would like for people to do is be open-minded. Don't look at a person's color of their skin and judge them by thinking that they can't do your makeup or they can't do your hair or they can't perform a service. You come into them for a service. Give them a chance. That's why you do trials. That's why you do consultations. You can always break the ice a little bit in those segments, so that way you can know or fill this person out to see if they have the skill set that you're looking for. I just feel like I didn't receive too much of that. It was a little bit judgmental because of my skin color, my complexion. It just made me feel like how, I guess I want to use the term dated, some mentalities can be. And, it's so much more out there that I think people could just open up to and see right before them, if they allow themselves to.